Ian, has there been a bit of soul searching done this week?
Um, no, I wouldn't say soul searching. No, there's been a lot of good chats, a lot of good reviews. We've enjoyed a good bit of time with each other. Um, a lot of connecting done, and a good bit of training as well. So I think um, overall it's been a real positive start to the week. We've enjoyed our Monday, Tuesday there, and looking forward. Done a session this morning and going out this afternoon to do another session, and I think the guys are really up for it. Looking forward to the challenges that today brings and the weekend brings.
In terms of Jacob Stockdale, you've had to jump around positions early in your career. I know it's not the same, but how do you think he's coped with jumping from 11 to 15?
Look, obviously, there's differences in it. The differences in what Jacob has to do, I'm not going to try and try and deny it. I wouldn't really know a huge amount of the intricacies in between playing the difference in those back three positions, but I know there would be and is differences in it. For me, I felt getting across the detail was massive. Obviously, at the time, under different coaching staff, things were ran slightly differently, so it was a slightly different atmosphere to try and get across it in. Whereas with Jacob now, he it's a lot more open. He's a lot more willing to ask questions, and that's really good for helping him to understand what he's got to do and understand what can be asked of him and where he might need to jump between. For him, I know Jacob very well now after playing with him for the last number of years, and I think that he's more than capable of getting across all the work that he needs to get across. I think seeing him, what he's done over the last number of weeks, there's what other people might look upon as being upsets for him. He's learned from them, and you can see him actively working and getting better day on day in camp at those things.
You mentioned all the new faces in the squad at the moment, and when it comes to a line-out unit and there's so many moving parts, is that part of the reason that there are kind of mistakes made in the early days of a new line-out unit?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is getting to know people, getting to know how they work. Different people definitely jump in a line out in different ways. Anyone who's lifted in a line out will know that everyone jumps slightly differently, and some people, even though they may look more athletic than others, are a lot more difficult to lift than others, and other people can't stop as quickly as other people, and the more you play with someone, the more you understand how they move. And it's the same with hookers. Hookers, when they're throwing, get to know someone who jumps in a slightly different way. And I've spoken to Rob Herring and other hookers about this. I spoke to Rory Best about it in the past. Throwing to different people, they understand that they'll throw it slightly differently, depending on the personnel. Also depends on lifters. So there's a whole load of moving parts in a line out. Judging a line out from a completely outsider point of view, like when we review other teams' lineouts, I think it's very, very difficult for us to say if it's an overthrow or not an overthrow, because we don't know if the jumpers jumped in the right position. We don't know if the movement at the start of the lineout was how they had drilled it throughout the week. So that hooker might be expecting the pod to be a foot further back than they are, or a foot further forward, which that's a difference between everyone saying, oh, the hooker's underthrown that, but the hooker might have thrown it 100% exactly the same as he's thrown it all week in training. But if they jump slightly further forward, obviously it's not gonna match up with what they've been practicing. So unless you're involved in the line out process earlier in the week, it's very, very difficult to see if that's the case. So I think there are so many moving parts, and you do get to learn so much off people. The more you train with people and the more you play with people, you do understand that everyone has different traits, and you get to learn people's different traits. Yeah.